Hey everyone, and welcome. We all know people who just seem sharper, quicker. But what if I told you it's usually not about having a genius-level IQ? It's about how they think. Today, we're going to break down 5 powerful mindset shifts that can give you a massive advantage.
Just let this idea sink in for a second, because it really changes everything. It means that being smart isn't some fixed trait you're born with. No, it's a skill. It's a set of habits you can actually practice and get better at.
So you're probably asking, okay, what are they? Let's dive right in and look at the practical shifts you can literally start making today.
First up is a total game changer. Seriously, it's about changing your entire goal in a conversation. Stop trying to win the argument and start trying to find the truth. Just look at the difference here. Most of us get stuck in that left column. A conversation becomes a battle, right? It's all defend and attack. But the 10% mindset, it's not a fight, it's a collaboration. When you stop trying to prove you're right and just try to understand, you create this space where people feel safe, and that's where the real breakthroughs happen.
So, how do you actually do it? You start with genuine questions like these. See, these aren't gotcha questions. They're real invitations. They say, hey, I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to understand you. Try using just one of these in your next tough conversation. The difference is incredible. All right, let's move on to our second habit. This one is all about perspective. It's about learning to zoom out and see the bigger picture, not just the single event right in front of you.
Man, this is such a common trap. You fail a test and your brain immediately screams, I'm a failure. You get stuck in that one moment. But the 10% mindset asks a totally different and way more powerful question. What system led to this? Maybe you didn't have a good study routine, or you were too tired. It's not about you being a failure, it's about the process.
And this is the key takeaway. Once you change that perspective, every single setback becomes a lesson. Failure stops being this big, scary monster that means you should quit. It's just data. It's information. It's fuel. And when that's your mindset, your growth is pretty much unstoppable.
Okay, habit number 3. This one is all about getting incredibly efficient with your mental energy. It's about focusing that energy only on the things you actually have power over.
I mean, just look at this chart. It's kind of shocking, right? Look at how much of our brain power gets wasted on things we can't do anything about. A huge chunk worrying about what other people think, another massive piece stressing about things that might happen, and then you see that tiny little sliver, just 5% for our own actions. That's the only part we actually control.
This right here, this is the ultimate filter. It's a simple, powerhouse question that cuts through all the noise, the anxiety, the blame. Before you let yourself spiral, you just stop and ask this one thing. It's like a circuit breaker for wasted energy.
And the process from there couldn't be simpler. If you can't control it, you give yourself permission to let it go. It's not your problem to solve. But if the answer is yes, boom, that's your green light. That's where you put all your focus and take action. It's the secret to calm, consistent progress.
On to number 4. Now this one might feel a little weird at first, maybe even uncomfortable, but it is so powerful. We're going to talk about the incredible strength of not speaking. Think about it. Most of us are terrified of awkward silence. That little pause in a conversation happens and we rush to fill it with anything. But the 10% mindset sees silence as a tool. It gives you room to actually think before you speak. It forces you to listen more than you talk. You stop just reacting and start responding thoughtfully.
And this is exactly why it's a superpower. In any interaction, whether it's a negotiation or just a conversation with a friend, the person who can sit comfortably in that pause, who isn't desperate to fill the void, that person holds the power. Silence adds weight to your words, so when you finally do speak, people listen.
And that brings us to our 5th and final habit. And honestly, this one might be the one that ties them all together. It is the art of the pause. It's about creating a tiny little space between what happens to you and how you respond to it. Let this one really sink in. Reacting is automatic. It's impulsive. It's your brain on autopilot. Pausing, even for just a split second, is intentional. It's you grabbing the steering wheel back.
This timeline shows it perfectly. So something happens, that's the stimulus, and for most people, the arrow goes straight from stimulus to action, which is usually a reaction they end up regretting. But the smarter path inserts this tiny crucial step, the pause. In that little gap, that's where insight is born, and your action becomes a controlled, intelligent response instead of a knee-jerk impulse. When you really boil it all down, that's the common thread through all 5 of these habits, isn't it? Asking to understand, seeing systems, focusing on what you control, using silence, and pausing to observe. They're all just different ways of practicing one thing. Awareness. And in the long run, awareness outsmarts just about everything else. So, I want to leave you with this question. Look, you don't have to master all 5 of these things by tomorrow. Just pick one thing to start noticing. Notice when you feel that urge to win an argument. Notice when you're blaming yourself for a single failure. Notice where your mental energy is going. Just start there. So, what will you start noticing today?